Hi, this video is about miracles. I know some people don't believe in miracles, but I do. I've had a lot of them. Anyway, we went to church one night, and my oldest son, uh, Danny, had a had a fit or something. He was crying in church, and Sister Pearlie Mae was trying to preach and stuff, and she stopped in the middle of her preaching and said that God showed her that Danny had an earache. So we all prayed for him and everything, and he shut up and went to sleep. Well, she finished the preaching and everything, and we went home. We thanked God again for helping Danny with his earache. And then one day he was about 4. No, he wasn't 4. He was still a baby. I think he was about 9 months old then, and he got a real bad fever. His fever was sky high. We couldn't get rid of it, and we took him to the hospital, and the doctor says it wasn't nothing to do but put him in a tub of ice. So they got him naked, and he would burn you. He was so hot. And they put him in the tub of ice. Poor baby, I felt so bad for him. But he stayed in there about 15, 20 minutes or more. I don't really know. But he stayed in there a pretty good while. And he got better, and the doctor kept, tending to him and everything, and he got better. So we took him out of the ice and put him in a room and kept an eye on him for a while. Then he said that he was all right, and so we took him on back to the house, and we prayed to thank God for that too, getting him his fever down and everything. And then everything was okay with Danny. When a few years later, when Raymond was born, we went back to church. We were still going to church, but we went that night especially, and little Raymond started crying and wouldn't stop, and she said that I needed to take the preacher, Sister Pearlie Mae at the time, said we needed to take him to the hospital right away. She didn't say what happened or anything. She just said you need to take him to the hospital now. So we took him to the hospital, found out he had a hernia, and they put him in the hospital, and he had surgery, and I thought it was his stomach, but it was his navel, I think. And he got better, and we took him home. Before we took him home, he was laying up there crying and stuff, and I was trying to pacify him and everything, and the nurse told me not to bother him, and the doctor was there, and he said, let her have her way with him, because he's right now he needs comforting. So I did, and took him home, and he got better. No, he was still had the stitches in him. His daddy come in acting ugly 2 or 3 days later, and well, at the first time he said not to take Raymond to see to to Mom and Dad's house no more. He wouldn't tell me nothing, just don't take him back down there. And he was at work. He was in the Navy. So he went to work. And at the time, I said, Mama called and wanted to see Raymond. I took him up there to see Raymond, Mama to see Raymond. And somebody came by there that he had somebody watching me and didn't want me taking him back down there. And they saw that car down there to Mama's and went straight and told Daniel. And 2 or 3 days later, he got all over me about it, being mean and everything. I said, well, Mama wanted to see her grandchild, and she saw him. And he was madder than a no-wet hen. So 3 or 4 days later, he went down there to get Raymond out of the hospital. He told me he'd go get Raymond while I fixed dinner. And he didn't come back with the baby that day. So I was trying to find out where he was and where the baby was. So I went back to the house, and he happened to be there. And he come out of the house with Raymond in his arms with a gun. And he said, don't come any closer. I'm going to take this baby and go home. That meant he was going back to Nevada. And I couldn't help myself because he couldn't help him in it because Daniel had a gun on me. And he left with Daniel. He left with the baby, Raymond. And he took him to Nevada. I went to court to see if what could be done about it. At the time, I didn't know I could go up there to the Navy base and have him brought back. I didn't know all that. Stupid me. But anyway, we went to the courthouse. Me and Mom and all of us went to the courthouse, and Daniel, but he didn't have the baby. He gave him 10 days to bring the baby back, but he didn't. And we went to court and everything, and the judge gave him 10 days to bring the baby back home. And I told Mama he'd just give him room enough to get up there with the baby if he didn't already. And sure enough, he didn't bring the baby back. I didn't see him anymore. And he went up to the courthouse without me, and I didn't know it. And he got divorced and everything. And the judge told me that the only way that I could get him back now was to go to Nevada. And me and my sister, several weeks later, we made up our minds that we were going to hitchhike to Nevada and pick him up and bring him back home. Because he took him up there to his mama's house. He didn't stay with him. And I called one time up there to see how he was doing. And she said he was doing all right, and he had one tooth. In the meantime, she had, before I called again, she had her phone number changed. And I never did get back in touch with her. But me and Hazel, my sister, hitchhiked a truck going, and we was at Mobile, and the truck driver said that we was going the wrong way or something, and that we would never get there that way, and he couldn't take us back to Meridian. So we hitchhiked back to Meridian, got a couple, and thank goodness. And they took us back to the house, and that was it. We couldn't do anything, and that broke my heart. I nearly cried myself sick. I missed Raymond so much, and he wouldn't let me see him. He wouldn't bring him back. Nothing. So when he got grown, we was trying to find him, Raymond, and found out later that Raymond was trying to find us too. But Danny done something, got in touch with somebody, and Raymond called back. And he called, and I answered the phone, and he talked to me for a minute or two, and Danny come in and wanted the phone. So I gave him the phone, and he talked to Raymond for a while and hung up. And the next time it was a long time before we got in touch with each other. And then when we did get in touch with each other, we couldn't go up there, and he couldn't come down. So it was a long time before we got to seeing each other by phone and by pictures and stuff. And it was a long time before. When I saw him, it was before I came up here. Him and Lydia came down, and they had a couple of dogs, and we just, had a little chit chat and playing with the dogs and stuff. So that was it, and we're still keeping in touch and everything. I thank the Lord for bringing Raymond back to me, and I love him. I love this family, and it made me so happy when he come down. Him and Lydia came down to see me when I was still in Mobile, and before I came down here, I asked Raymond, was he gonna come visit with me? He says, not in Colorado. It's cold up there, and I'm not used to cold. He didn't like snow or stuff like that. But I believe he would come during the summertime when he gets not busy as Dickens. He's tired all the time. He works all the time, and when I guess he'll come down when he gets through with his house and working all the time. Well, it's time to go. So I hope y'all have like my videos and subscribe and leave comments down below. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.